Well, I say we get this party started. And so, you know what? Let me just welcome everybody. It's great to see you guys for Trailblazer Tuesday. Um, had a long, intense roll up your sleeves, no joke, 2.5 hour advisory board session today, and with the executive team. And I'm just telling you guys, it's time to get your Trailblazer mindset on. There are some things that we masterminded through that took 2.5 hours that will only further enhance all the things that you think are coming down the pike. So this is the time to get ourselves ready, equipped, in the right frame of mind with the right points of reference. And there's no one better to help us do that than my good brother, Skip Karekis. And you guys, we're really blessed and honored. I mean, this community is pretty phenomenal. I um, sit in the midst of a lot of other great leaders in these advisory board mastermind sessions. And while I certainly tip my hat in respect to everyone who's been privileged with the obligation and the responsibility and the opportunity to help shape kind of the direction the arrow points on the compass as we try to move forward and establish the culture that'll support the Avoria Prime vision. I'll tell you this: while I have the utmost respect for all those other folks, they ain't got nothing on this group of people. I am just telling you, this is a blessed community. When you've got the likes of people like the Al Franklins and the Skip Karekises, and every single person in here adds an immeasurable amount of value to the community. But when we can glean from experience that comes at the highest level of accomplishment, that's uncommon, right? People like Al and Skip have uncommon levels of success. Everyone in here has uncommon value. Every single one of you has priceless levels of value. And when we can combine your value and your desire with uncommon levels of success, with experience that we can glean from, that can equip us and position us to maximize the road ahead, and that fires me up, you guys. And so I'm glad for all of you that are here. It is recording, which is great. We want to capture these nuggets of wisdom that I'm sure we're going to get tonight. And so once again, Skip, thank you for showing up, for answering the call, for being willing to just give so freely of yourself, your experience, your time, your treasures, your wisdom, your knowledge, your anointing, your discernment. I could go on and on. I don't lack vocabulary, and I don't lack sentiment for my good brother Skip. And I don't lack respect and appreciation for everything that he does for this community. And again, everything that we can glean. And so, Skip, I'm ready to glean. Take us away, my brother.
Ryan, thank you so much. And it's nice to be, I kind of feel like at home. Everyone who is here, we've had some touch points and so on. But to launch this evening, because it is a special evening, we all have opportunity to unmute ourselves. How about if we do that and you join me in a little chorus and we sing a little verse of happy birthday? How about if we do that? All right, everyone unmute. Everyone unmute. Everyone unmute. There we go. Thanks, Matt, Joseph. Thanks, Lee.
Don't do it.
Hey, Lee, I don't know if I want you to sing, but anyway, come join us anyway.
I don't know if I want to sing either.
Rebecca, Maddie Ice, good. Simon, all right, awesome. Victor, thanks for joining us. Myra, all right. Sean Fields, let's do it, brother. We need the backup. We need the tenor. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Doc. Happy birthday to you. Why was he born so beautiful? Why was he born at all? Okay, anyway, happy birthday. Awesome.
I wish everybody's internet speed was the same.
I know, right? It was the gesture that counts. So anyway, happy birthday, our dear Ryan. Happy birthday. We're so glad to be part of this journey. Big 5-0, huh?
Thank you guys. No, 49. Thank you guys. And let me just say this, the asynchronous internet speeds made it all the more entertaining on my end. So that was awesome.
We have that recorded. We're going to do something with that. But anyway, just Ryan, a little token of our appreciation for you. You are the quintessence of this group being here. Everyone is a little bit of a reflection of their leader. Let me share this with you. We're going to dive into this subject today. It's not going to be heavy. It's not going to be long. It may be heavy, but not long. But I will tell you, when you look at leadership, and that's something I've studied for about 31 years now, leadership, I've been able to dissect and look at the anatomy of what leadership is. And one thing that I've discovered is that leaders are multifaceted. And so when you see someone like Ryan and Jolene that have such a diversity of people, it's not because that was accidental. It isn't one thing that they did. Ryan and Jolene have a multiplicity of engagement points that all of these people are reflective of their interests, their qualities. So you find people of integrity in Ryan's team, it's because Ryan and Jolene have integrity. You have people who have success on Ryan's and Jolene's team, it's because they've had success. You see people who care for others, it's because they display that. So you attract what you have a fit for. And if you're missing something on your team, that might be an indication of what you need to work on. I'm just saying that in general. But my topic today is, for those of you that have been around with me a little bit, I've divided generally training into doing and being, right? The doing, I go to any bookstore and it just takes up space and space and space and space and rows and shelves of doing. You can do until the cows come home. Do, cock-a-doodle-doo, I say. There's enough out there, but get your doing done. Get something. The being part is something that is really the fuel in the tank of your doing, okay? So what I want to talk today about is a little springboard from, if you had the chance to be on with Todd Falcone a few weeks ago, I took a bunch of notes. Todd goes way back, and I've kind of followed him, and we've had touch points along the way. And man, he's just old school. We'll give it to you as plain as it is on how to do it. There's no hidden agenda. It's just roll up your sleeve and do it. And one thing that Todd said is, if you recall or were taking notes, he said the key to retention is what? Do you guys remember? Does anyone know this? Am I touching points with anyone? The key to retention, he said, is communication. Okay, the key to retention is communication. And that day, I love what Todd did. He probably did it so well because he spoke extemporaneously. He didn't have a preset of notes. He just kind of went with the feel of what he wanted to deliver. He kind of gave an overview. And one of the main points that surfaced in his thinking of unprepared, but this is a go-to foundational concept, is retention is communication. And I want to build on that a little bit, okay? Let me tell you why. I agree with Todd, but I'm going to add a little bit of a twist. The most important communication you'll ever have is not with your prospects, not with your team, not with your business partner. The most important communication you'll have is with yourself. So this is the communication I want to talk to. So that's how we're using what Todd said is the doing part of communication. I want to swing that same concept into the being part of what are you communicating to yourself? What is your self-communication language? What are you communicating to yourself? Now, I've used this before and it has always served me really well, but think about this. Think about this. If I was able to last month ask for a heavenly download, if you will, of a transcript of your self-communication, what would that transcript look like? What language is on there? Is it what you think it is? Or would you be surprised to discover your language might have another tone or feature to it? Do you think you're being positive? And if we were to look objectively at your language, are you being critical? Do you think you're being optimistic when you're being cautious? Now, this is self-reflection. No one can do this for you. This is just a communication for you to take action on your own, because you're all big people here. You're accountable for yourself. Your success doesn't depend on the thickness of the brochure, the number of products that come out, the pricing, nothing. It depends strictly on the person that you can see back on the Zoom call when you have your video on. Communication is the single most important part to retention. So what we're going to talk about is, what is your self-retention like? Are you retaining yourself? Are you speaking yourself into the business? What is your communication? Is it doubt or a language of dreaming? Is your language maybe or absolutely? Is your language reactionary and just by default, or is your language intentional and by design? Is your language one of victimhood or of victories? Now, let me tell you, I'm making those key points because you can run deep on all of these ideas of what your self-language is. And just try to be objective. One thing that I give you the absolute freedom of doing is to go into your head, take analysis, and be honest with yourself. Speak yourself the truth. No one has to know. No one's going to figure you out. Just keep that to yourself and have a honest conversation with yourself and think, what is my communication to myself like? And I will give you an indicator. Are you attracting people? Do you leave people neutral, or do you put people off? That is a direct reflection of your self-communication. So what are you communicating to yourself? Let me share something with you. Tonight is going to be really brief, and we're going to open up for question and answer if you want any, want to dialogue any bit. But this is such a deep subject that usually I reserve this for a larger audience with more time, when we can get a little bit deeper. So our language, as Ryan is posting, are we attracting people, leaving them neutral, or putting people off? If you're not liking the results that you're getting, don't blame the people, the product, the brochure, the landing page, none of that. It has to do with your communication. And it starts first with self-communication. From self-communication comes external communication. Let me give you this idea. This is kind of a bombshell to some people, but I want you to wrap your mind around this truth. This is a truth statement. Words are things. Let me say that again. Words are things. And you know what? I can prove it to you empirically, quantifiably, for those of you who are naturalistic in thought and philosophy. If I can't measure it, I don't know. It's just a little too out there for me. Well, we have a way to empirically verify that words are things. Let me share something with you. Kind of go a little bit out here, but follow me because I'm going to land this thing. If we go back to something about 14 billion years ago, there was something called the Big Bang. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but most of you have. The Big Bang, okay? So one of the questions that has come existentially is, what caused the Big Bang from a point of singularity to expand and to go into what we know as the known universe today? And of course, I'm being very, very, very general. So this is not a science lecture. This is a general talk on this. So the Big Bang had an impetus. but it was not known as to what exactly caused this point of singularity to take action and go into its causality and the universe as we know it today. Well, there's this little science that came out not too long ago, and it's called string theory. And string theory tells us that sound is an energy. And guess what you think that the scientists believe was the cause for the Big Bang, this point of singularity to expand into the known universe? The science of string theory tells us that it was sound that caused the Big Bang. Now, I'm not going to have a philosophical or theological talk with you, but it's just so interesting that this also aligned with something that was written about 5,000 years ago. And it said, in the beginning, God. And what did he do? He spoke. He spoke, and the universe leapt into existence. Okay? So, why am I saying this? Why am I going into that theological route? I'm giving you a quantifiable and verifiable example of the power of words. And I'm going to its origin so you can take this with you and start shifting your thinking. So I have to go big because this is big. I'm going to the Big Bang. That's how big we're going. That's how important this is. So when God spoke, now, if you're not a theologian or a theological person or don't subscribe to the spiritual realm, no worries. I'm just using this as a narrative now, okay? As a text of ancient literature. And the text of ancient literature tells us that this voice that caused the Big Bang also took something that was in chaos and went from disorder to order by creating and by speaking it. Okay? And so God spoke for about 7 days, and 6 things happened over those 7 days, and he spoke from disorder to order. In that time frame, there's a narrative that he also created little images of himself that were endowed with qualities that were unique, and he put a sacred quality into these creatures, which have the image of this creator God. So if the original was able to speak, and he created images of himself and endowed them with speech, do you think we have power in words? We are a species that can take words, just like the Big Bang, from disorder to order. Guess what you could do to your life? Have you ever had a relationship that has been in disorder? Have you been able to fix it by speaking order into it? Have you ever had a broken relationship that you spoke the right words and order came of it? Were you ever in a place of brokenness where you spoke the proper words and it went from disorder to order? Am I speaking to anyone here? We can all have that experience. If you've lived half as long as Ryan has, we've all had that sort of experience, right? We have always had the power of words to reconnect and take from disorder to order. So here's what I'm saying. For those of you that subscribe to this idea, or those of you that don't, it's no matter. The point still stands. We have the creative power endowed and authorized into us to speak disorder into order. Out of the mouth proceeds what's in the heart. When we think of these concepts, we can understand how someone arrived at the statement, if you realize how powerful your thoughts are, you will never think a negative thought. Have you heard of that? You can find that in the Peace Pilgrim. I don't know who wrote that exactly, but in the Peace Pilgrim, it says, if you realize how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. Now, let me suggest this to you. I don't think we can keep from thinking negative thoughts, but one thing that we can do is we don't have to perseverate on negative thoughts that come our way. We don't have to have it master us. We can rule over it. And this all has to do with choosing the skill set that you say intentionally, I will speak order from disorder. Using that overarching theme and idea of speaking order from disorder, what kind of disorder do you have in your life right now that you could speak order into? Is it your thinking? Is it possible that your thinking is in disorder? And what I mean by disorder is it's in the wrong space. It's not serving you. Intentional language is used to serve your desired ends and outcomes. This is what Ryan talks so much, a life by design or life by default. Life by default is a reactionary life, like a leaf in the wind, whichever the wind blows. A life by design is the one that subscribes to the order of the universe and the one who gives order to the universe that endowed us with the gift of creating something from disorder to order by words. So I'd want to underline, highlight, emphasis, bold, whatever you have to do, the word communication for yourself. It is the single most important skill set that you can develop. It is what helps define you. It helps you create your legacy, because if you don't have it in words, it's not going to happen in action. Let me repeat that again. If you do not have it framed in words, it will not happen in reality. That's what people always say who are leadership or success people is write your goals out. Why? Words. That's what it means. That's what they're saying. That's where the power comes from. You can create order from disorder. Now, after we're done this evening, take a little inventory tonight. Have a little quiet time or a hot shower or cold shower. Find a little bit of quiet time and ask yourself, what does the language you're speaking look like? Is it in disorder? If there's an area of your life that you need to fix, I would almost venture to guess that if you languaged that process properly, framed your language and your words constructively, all things are fixable. You can go from disorder to order. All right? So what I'm sharing with you is handle your words with caution. Handle your words with caution. As we said before, intentional words are good or bad and rarely neutral, because words are things. Words are things. So how do you frame your words? How do you frame your words? Where do you draw your words from? Where do you draw wisdom from? Let me suggest this to you. Don't be an island unto yourself. You're not the end all of all resources. There's been a saying that intelligent people tend to evoke, and it says that if you're the smartest person in the room, find a new room. Why? Because the other room can give you words that you haven't contemplated that help shape and fine-tune your words and your language and your communication skills. So what I'd like to do is ask you to reflect on these things. Where are you drawing words from? Who do you hang around? Who speaks into your life? Who do you listen to? What do you listen to? And what I'd like to do is open a larger invitation to what Ryan said today after a 2.5 hour brainstorm session. He says, just be ready and prepared because there's an intentionality happening here. And what I would suggest, if I can kind of elaborate on what Ryan was saying, is what he is saying in so many words is he's extending an invitation for you to plug into a community here, because this community is much more than Forex. This community is much more than Forex. This community is a community that offers leadership. So you have the words of leadership at times. Other times you have the words of mentorship. There's other times you have words of think tank. There's other times you'll have word of development. There's other times you'll have words of mindset spoken. There's other times you have words of human beingness. There's other times you'll have words of lifestyle. There's other times you have words of fun. Other times you'll have words of mindset. What we're suggesting is you're stepping into a community that has the buffet of offerings. It's not a one-legged stool. And that's how you become well-rounded in any space you're a part of. This is a community that is legacy building. Stick around. Have an open mind. Look to glean the right words from the right sources. Look to create order from disorder in your life, or your business, or your relationship, or your goals. Whatever it is that you find an unhappy status in, take that as disorder and speak order into it. By crafting the language, you'll craft your mindset, which will craft your action, which will give you the results you're looking for. And that's the process. There's no shortcutting it. You can't go to this step without doing these. There's no shortcutting it. So what I like to say is keep these words in mind. I'm just pouring into you my heart. I understand the time in which, in my understanding of the time in which a Warrior Prime is. There's leadership like Sal and Vanessa and Ryan and Jolene and Al and Maddie, and we have Sean Fields, and we have those who couldn't be on here. We have Simon, Kenny, Lee, Rebecca, just people here who are consistent because they understand that they're buying into a system that works. I invite you to stick around for a while. The worst case that'll come out of it is you'll craft new language, and you'll learn with a community of people how to speak things from disorder into order and live a life by design, not a life by default. That's a waste of a life. Don't live that life. That's a life that leads to regret. A life of design is a life of legacy, and we invite you to step into the legacy highway. So I thank you for giving me a hearing tonight. I just wanted to pour out my heart to you in this space. This has been hot on my mind as to how we can move in a community at a greater clip and how we can serve each other better. And when we have these points to clarify, these tools to utilize, a lot of things can be done. And so I appreciate being part of your community and you guys opening up your homes, your computers, whatever, the space for us to connect. And thank you, Ryan and Jolene, above all, for being the quintessence, the fifth essence that binds all of these things together. So if you want to go question and answers, I'd be glad to entertain. Great. It looks like I touched on every single point. Oh, Sean Fields, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic. Man, this is unbelievable. Thank you so much for the encouragement and just the power in just a few minutes. If I'm not, my words, man. They are so powerful. It goes with every relationship, from my kids to my wife to, like you said, if you speak it and it's wrong, you can speak it and change it. And that's what I find cool. You said it's all fixable. That's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, Sean. That is so powerful. That realization that gives you hope. It puts control back into you. It gives you options, doesn't it? And that's so powerful that you can be in the driver's seat. Don't abdicate life. This is the one life you get. Let's maximize it.
I liked what you said also about how it's not just what I'm speaking, but what am I listening to? And I'm finding as I'm on this journey, sometimes I'm in situations where the music or whatever around me I don't have control over. And I never used to think about it before, but sometimes it bothers me because I'm getting into a process where I'm trying to intentionally listen to certain things. And as difficult as I'm finding that habit to become, I'm noticing that it is having an effect, that when I intentionally listen to certain things, whether it be music or whether it be something I'm watching or whether it be just, like a book that I'm listening to or something, I'm finding that if it's not aligning with what I'm trying to do right now, it bothers me. So that really kind of struck with me, and I wasn't sure why, but now I guess I know why, because I'm really trying to intentionally put positive words into my mind so I cannot have those negative thoughts that have plagued me.
Yeah, it becomes a point, Rebecca, to your point, it's very important to exercise wisdom to filter out the source of words, because words frame thoughts. Thoughts come from somewhere. And think about it. The 20th century thoughts killed more human beings than the first 19 centuries prior to that. Thoughts are things. They can be terrible things, or they can be astronomical things that puts man on the moon, right? These are majestic things that have been, it can bring cures for cancers. It can separate conjoined twins. It can do amazing things. It can make a difference in a person halfway across the world. So these are the things of legacy that we're talking about. So this is not a small subject, but it is true that you want quality ingredients. If you like to chef it up or cook it, if you like to make a good steak on the barbecue, Ryan Monday steak on the barbecue.
I got you.
Isn't it good to start off with good ingredients to get a good quality result? Yeah, don't expect to buy beef jerky and have a tenderloin or something. It doesn't work. So it is with something even more premium, like words. Think about the other side. I don't mean to get dark or heavy, but you can destroy a child by speaking so poorly into a child's life that you thwart that child for a long, long time. There has to be a lot of unwinding to do with that child when they get an adult if bad things are spoken into that child, correct? So the opposite is true. Ryan, you're going to say something.
Not only spoken to that child, spoken in the presence of that child. What they witness as it relates to simply what comes out of our mouths, even if it's not directed at them, will radically influence them.
Yes, that's so powerful just by hearing, because they're out there and they'll capture that. I had a cousin who had a little 2.5-year-old who, in the middle of something somewhere, something fell and they said, "Oh, F and bleep." Where the heck did that come from? And they discovered that in the backyard, they have a neighbor who has a fence. They didn't even know the neighbor was over there doing something, and the neighbor doing neighborly thing, and the neighbor dropped the F-bomb. and this little 2.5-year-old picked it up. Neighbor across, wasn't in the same space, just heard it. And interestingly applied it appropriately. But imagine what those words suspended out there are. So, Ryan, thank you for that. But there we go, the power of words. The power of words. Kingdoms and nations have been erased and fallen by words. So that's the power of it. So I think Lee posted something so introspective. He said, I suppose, and I think I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm not reading it, but Lee said, I think I need to ask myself better questions. That's brilliant. That's taking advantage of this session and doing something with it. Hey, listen, you guys, we all have a better half hour to spend somewhere. Don't make this an expense of time. Make it an investment of time where you get a return on your investment. Let's put these things into action because there are dividends there. So anyway, I am a little bit passionate, just like Ryan yesterday speaks, a mile a minute over his passion. This is a space I'm so passionate about, is being able to lay these things before you in a way that is digestible, that makes sense, that we can ingest and we can take action on. But this is the anatomy of success, you guys.
Hey, Skip, I want to give everybody a gift from me to all of you on my birthday, and I'm going to show you the trick that taught me how to flip the script in my life. For real, I'm gonna share something with you guys. It was magical for me. So for those of you that are Bible readers, you'll recognize this, and for those of you that aren't, that's okay. Here's some wisdom that comes from a book. Okay, just call it that, wisdom that comes from the book. Here's how the world says this phrase. If we want to see different outcomes, we've got to think differently. Here's how the book I'm referencing says it. It's in Romans 12:2, and it says, we are not to conform to the ways of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds, right? Watch this. The world would like us to believe that the words we speak are a result of the way we think. However, did you know you can take control and flip that script, and you can actually shape the way you think by virtue of the words you speak? So here is I don't know, this is probably close to a 10-year incremental work in progress. So this is my Evernote. And mostly this, gets access through my smartphone. And this is how I have shaped the person I am today. And that's not who I was 10 years ago when I was at a low point in my life and I needed to transform. I needed to metamorphosis. I needed to become more than who I was at that point, because who I was at that point got my family backed into a corner, facing bankruptcy, about to be homeless, getting thrown out by our mortgage company, needing to rely on friends and family to have a roof over our head. That wasn't who I had become up to that point, led me to that outcome, right? And so the thing that I was taught by a mentor, that I could get more intentional about my thoughts by, as Skip said, putting better ingredients in. And so I made a daily practice at that point to start to embrace the proper ingredients that my Creator says about me, so that I could start to say the right things about me that would then shape the way I spoke about myself and others. But first I had to put the words in so the words would come back out, right? We can't give something we don't have. We can't sow a seed that we don't possess. Now, we all have the ability to possess good seed, right? We technically are the good seed, but when we're not intentionally activating that good seed, we wonder why things aren't happening, right? And so what I started doing was, like Skip talked about tonight, getting the right materials, and then making it my own, right? Really consuming it. And then you'll see a lot of this is scripture and a lot of it's not. A lot of it's my own interpretation. These are thoughts myself. I could keep scrolling forever, you guys, but I read through this daily and I add to it just about daily. And so, you can actually take a greater level of control over how you think, which will then ultimately manifest in how you speak. But you want to do that intentionally, again, like Skip said, not reactively. How does the world teach us to do it? Oh, reactively, right? And so we go through life oftentimes with the misconception that, well, our words are just simply a function of the way we think. And I just struggle with the way I think. Well, I get it, right? A lot of us struggle with the way we think, but the way we can take control of that is actually just get intentional about what you speak, right? Put phenomenal ingredients in, and you'll start to get phenomenal product out. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Skip, I love what you shared tonight, man. Phenomenal stuff.
Ryan, drop the pen. That was awesome. Thank you for interesting, you guys. What Ryan was saying is, if you look at people who have independently come to a place of what Ryan was just doing, putting his little journal, electronic journal, you'll notice that as you evolve down that journey, by default, you'll start journaling these things. So you just want to hold on to these and then give yourself a little frame of reference at times. Now, don't do it because you'll get that. Okay, let's not do things backwards. There's a time when things make sense for you to do. Stop with the doing part, you guys. This is what we talk about. People want to do. Let me give you this one example. I may have shared it with you or not, but let me tell you how bad it is to do things without intention, just to do them. Not too long ago, maybe earlier this year, and I've shared with some of you this idea that, when you scroll down your Facebook feed, you get advertisement or sponsored spots, right? And there's this one guy that came out and he would say, this average successful guy, and there's pictures of like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates or, Sir Richard Branson, they're popping up. As these figures are popping up, it says the average successful person reads 30 books a year, okay? So what he's pitching is some sort of synopsis of you being able to buy from him a condensed library or something. I don't even know what it is. But here's the point. What people read into that message, what he's trying to deliver deceitfully, is that if you read 30 books a year, what's going to happen to you? You're going to end up at that level of the Warren Buffett level, correct? Isn't that the implication? So people want to be like a Warren Buffett, and they think that to do 30 books is equal to be Warren Buffett. But it isn't. There's a gap in between there. It isn't the doing of the 30 books that got Warren Buffett to where he was. It was the being part of it. So when he reads 30 books, what frame of mind, what's he doing with that? See, all this thing is lost in translation. So where I'm going with that is this. So many of us want to do in order to be. Stop doing things and start being. Okay, I can't emphasize that differentiate. And as we spend more time and when I have an opportunity to speak, we'll focus in on that. Stop doing in order to be. Okay, so just be first, and the doing will follow. You'll pick up the doing that you need in order to be. And we'll spend more time on that. But Brian, thank you so much for those words and expanding upon that, because it's so powerful, so powerful. Thank you guys for your words. Victor, thank you so much for the wonderful affirmation there. Appreciate your input, Victor. Thank you for validating that you did invest time tonight and you received something from this session. And so, yeah, I think if that's it, then I think we can call it a wrap.
A wrap it is. Awesome stuff tonight, Skip. Thank you, my brother. As always, can't wait to see you in a couple of days. Fired up. That is going to be amazing. Yeah, that is going to be an anointed time for sure. So everybody be praying for travel mercies for Skip as he hops 3/4 of the way across the country here. He's coming to God's country though, so it's gonna be anointed travel. So, and man, I'm grateful for all of you guys. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you for I'm gonna have a certain ring in my ear now for a while, and I'm gonna enjoy it. But man, I'm grateful for you guys. I love you guys, and I appreciate so many of you reached out to me directly today to wish a happy birthday, and that's just a reflection of what a great community this is. I'm excited to see this community start to grow. We're about to have the ultimate bait to do some epic fishing, you guys, and again, just like the good book says, we get the privilege of fishing for souls. We're gonna lead people into fellowship in this community and watch their lives transform in ways that go way beyond some Forex software. And so that's the thing that gets me the most fired up. But we're about to be equipped with the ultimate bait, right? The shiniest lure, the stinkiest worm, like whatever you want to call it. The software that's about to get put into our hands is going to attract a lot of people. And then we get, the significance of making sure that they get plugged in, and so that people like Skip can sow into them and help them see beyond, how they view themselves now, and start to have a more accurate depiction of their human beingness. And so, man, I'm just fired up for where all this is going. So anyway, you guys, make it an amazing remainder of your Tuesday, what's left of it. Make it a phenomenal week. I will be doing my best to be unplugged. And let me just say on this final thought before we go, I just can't express my gratitude for each and every one of you, because in a scenario, generally speaking, entrepreneurship or otherwise, when your livelihood depends on the efforts of other people, even when you think you're, especially again, like I said, in entrepreneurship, there's no salary. I have never been more at peace with a greater level of confidence that I can step away and fully immerse myself in my family, be unplugged, leave this thing back in the hotel, and know that this community is going to keep doing all the right things and move forward and touch lives. And so thank you, Al Franklin and Skip and Rebecca and Sean and Matt and Matty Ice and Joseph and Victor and Myra and Kristen and Kenny Rojas, and for anybody else who wasn't on tonight, man, you guys have no idea what a blessing that is for me, just to know that you guys are going to continue to touch people, whether we're here in the midst of it or not. And so, man, thank you. That's like the ultimate birthday gift for me. So love you guys. God bless you. And we'll talk to you guys soon.